All right, so I thought it's time to give you a little bit of background on me, so you know where I've come from, what's got me to this point. I had a corporate career for about 20 years. I worked consistently long hours. I worked my way up the corporate ladder. Worked for a few large corporates and a couple of smaller companies as well. Um, and I got to the point a few years ago where I found myself giving up, 60 plus hours a week. And I felt like I was giving that up to someone else's agenda. I was working for other people. I was putting in the effort. I was dealing with the office politics. I was doing a whole lot of stuff that I really struggled with. I found myself a little bit disengaged from my work, and that really built up over a period of time. And I wanted to be more engaged in my work. To be honest, I wanted to care more about it. I had other people telling me what I needed to achieve and how I needed to achieve it. And I think I sort of got to the point where I felt like I was pushing someone else's barrow, and it really built up over a period of time. And there was a lot of stress and a lot of pressure. I had some roles with quite a bit of responsibility, and I found that was taking a real toll on both my physical and my mental health. I put on some weight. And I was really struggling. This is back about 2015. Really struggling to keep myself in good shape, both physically and mentally. And I was also, from a home perspective, I wasn't spending any time at home, and I hadn't been for years. Work really came before everything. I was really career driven, and I really felt like that was my role, to be the provider for my family, and so I was spending all my time on work. But that came at a cost on the family side, where I missed a lot of time with my kids when they were younger. And to be honest, I left my wife to carry a lot of that load. And I didn't really let myself think about it that much at the time, but I did towards the end. I really started to think about that a lot more, to realize that a lot more. And it made me feel like I was failing as a husband and a father. I think the career side, I'd put so much effort into it and so much focus on it, and I thought that was going all right, but I really was failing as a husband and a father. And so that sort of led to 2015, 2018, where I had a bad finish to a role. I sort of finishing up one, and I started interviewing for some other roles, and quite similar roles to the one that I just had. Again, higher levels of responsibility, long hours, high stress. And I remember going into the office. These guys had called me on a Friday morning and said, "Would you come in this afternoon?" And I said, "Yeah, no worries." So I went in and I had a chat to them. I'd been interviewing 3 or 4 times, 5 times over the previous few weeks. And they said, "We'd like to offer you the role." And they were really excited about it, and there was a lot of congratulations, and they had a contract all set up and ready for me to sign. And I sort of looked at it and thought, I don't know if I'm quite ready to sign this just yet. It actually made me feel a little bit queasy in my stomach, the idea that I was signing up again to get back on the horse. And I thought, the role being so similar to the one I've just had, and I knew the stress and the time that I'd need to put in, and I'd need to commit for at least a couple of years. So I sort of said to them, "Well, let me think about it over the weekend," which dampened the mood a little bit, but so be it. So I went home and I thought about it over the weekend. I talked to my wife about it, and I really did a fair bit of deep reflection that weekend. And I remember I was lying out in the backyard and lying down in the grass. I could feel the grass on my back, a bit spiky, and the sun was sort of beating down on my face a little bit, and I was thinking about it. And it hit me that I was sort of thinking about the reasons why I was going to, or thinking about signing on for this role. And it sort of hit me that I wasn't doing it because I wanted to do it. Like it wasn't that I had this burning desire to go into this role and achieve in this role. I was doing it because it looked impressive. It would look good on my CV. People would look at it and go, "Wow, it's a pretty good role, and you must be a high achiever by doing that." And it hit me then that that's just the wrong reason. was driving myself long hours, bad physical health, bad mental health, stress, pressure, neglecting my family. And why? So that I could have a good CV and people would say, wow, you're a high achiever. I mean, really? And that really hit me at that point. And so I went back and I talked to my wife again, and I decided now's the time to change. I was about to turn 45. I'd been at this for 20 years. And even at that late stage, it was time to change. So I called the company up on Monday morning and I said, thanks, but no thanks, which was a little bit of a shock to the system for them. I think they fully expected me to jump in with both feet. But I decided at that point it was time to change. So jumped straight into building my online business. I thought I had this idea of financial freedom, which is a really vague notion at the time. I want to be financially free. I want to be earning enough money without having to go to work to earn it. Not without having to work to earn it, but without having to have a job and have to go into the office for 60 hours a week to earn it. And to be honest, I thought I'd nail it pretty quick with my background. That last role, the one that I did for the last 3 years and that sort of I washed out of at the end, that was with a company called Flipper. And for those of you who don't know Flipper, it's sort of an online marketplace for websites, online businesses, domain names. And I spent 3 years there, and I was working with a lot of online business owners, spending time with them, working out how to buy a business or how to sell their business. We did a lot of work trying to understand those business models. I went to a lot of conferences with online business owners and met a lot of them and understood that world pretty well. So I thought, you know what? And that was really what inspired me to go down the online business path. And I thought I knew a lot at that point. I thought, you know what? These guys can do it. They're no more special than I am. I can do it as well if they can do it. So I'm going to jump in, and what's more, I've got a big head start over most people because of that background. So I thought I'd nail it. I thought I'd be right in there. And I jumped straight into e-commerce. We sold a few FBA or Fulfillment by Amazon businesses on Flipper. So I jumped into that because I thought that was a decent opportunity, and local lead generation as well. Looking at generating leads using SEO, potentially Facebook ads and PPC for local businesses. And I jumped into both of them very early because I had this idea that to create financial freedom, I needed to generate multiple income streams. So I'd heard horror stories of people whose income was blown away by, changes to the Google algorithm or Facebook shutting their accounts down or whatever it might be. So I thought I need multiple income streams. So if something happens to one of them, I've still got the others to fall back on. And I jumped in to try and do it from day one, multiple income streams in parallel at once. Bang, let's go. I'm going to nail this. Didn't quite turn out that way. It was a lot harder than I thought to do it, to be honest. And one of the big problems I had was that I was trying to do too many things at once, and I was completely overconfident in terms of my ability to do it. And that came back to bite me. I failed a number of times. Those initial businesses that I really jumped into didn't get there. And I basically made every mistake in the book. I mean, I look back now a couple of years later and I look at the mistakes I see people make, and yep, did that one and that one and that one. Big one for me was something called shiny object syndrome, which was really where you get sucked in by some shiny course or tool or training or whatever it might be that's the answer to all your online business problems, and you jump in and it turns out to be not that. And even if it was that, you don't give it enough time to work and you jump onto something else. So I had some problems with that. So it was an interesting journey, particularly early on. I should say I've had some success though. I've had 2 businesses that have reached 6 figures in annual income in the last couple of years. So there's been failures, but there's also been some things that have gone a lot better than the others. But at the end of the day, most of those, even the ones that have got to 6 figures, haven't been the ones that have been sustainable or enjoyable for me. They haven't quite been the answer I was looking for. And it wasn't until I took a step back, a year and a half in, so earlier 2020, I took a step back and I sort of took a 10,000 foot view of what I was doing. And And it's interesting to me that it took me that long because my background is in business strategy. I've spent a lot of time looking at business models and working out strategic plans and all that sort of stuff. So I'm a bit surprised at myself that it took so long for me to really take stock of where I was at and really get smart about it, to be honest. But anyway, I eventually got there, eventually did that. And you know what, there's some out of that process of stepping back, there's some really key learnings. And here's a couple. Firstly, all those models work. E-commerce works, local lead generation works, affiliate marketing works, network marketing works, creating your own coaching and course or consulting, they work. Drop shipping works. People might try and tell you drop shipping's dead, or they might tell you that email marketing's dead. I'm here to tell you that they do work. The challenge, though, is that they don't necessarily work for everyone. So each of those models has their own pros and cons, their own quirks, the things that you need to do to be successful, a little different in each, and the things that you need to spend your time doing or you need to be careful of, or the risks are different in each, the investment profile is different. And I think people sort of jump in and say, well, what's the best model to make money online? And I think the answer is, well, it depends. Depends on you, depends on your skills, your budget, your time frame, your strengths, your weaknesses. And I found that the models that I was pursuing had some elements in them that didn't work for me. E-commerce is a good example. I knew that there was a fair amount of investment involved. You need to invest in inventory. It's relatively low margin because you're buying physical products and on selling them. But those things really hit me when I was in the middle of that business. Dealing with suppliers, dealing with physical products and returns and all that sort of stuff, trying to get shipping and inventory sorted out, trying to get things through customs, trying to get approved on Amazon and dealing with Amazon. There's a lot of things in that I didn't fully, I sort of knew about. And most newbies probably wouldn't even know about them at all. I sort of knew about them, but I didn't really fully understand them enough until I really was in the middle of them going, holy shit, this is interesting. Do I really want to spend the rest of my working life doing this? So I think, they all work, but they work for different people and they work in different circumstances in different ways. And I think you really maximize your chances of success by making an informed decision on that up front. The challenge is that it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to cut through all the hype and all the bullshit to work out what is really the facts. But if you can do that or find someone to help you do that, then you really maximize your chances by making a good informed decision of what's the right business for you up front. You need to have a plan for success. I was sort of winging it quite a lot, and I think that a lot of people do that. I didn't have enough vision forward of how this was going to work out for me and how this is going to be successful. And I think that's hard to do up front. And any plan you come up with needs to be flexible, but you need to have some vision and plan and focus. Don't try to do too much too quickly, and that's a massive mistake that I made, trying to run 3 or 4 businesses or start 3 or 4 businesses from scratch from day one, instead of focusing on just one, making that work, and then worrying about adding multiple or more streams after that. But I think, when I step back from that even and think about it, the key realization for me is that online success is achievable for anyone with the right plan and the right mindset. I thought my background and knowledge were my ticket to success. I thought that those were the things that were going to set me apart and make sure that I was successful. But in reality, those things really don't matter. And neither does age. I'm a dinosaur by online business standards. There's so many, 22-year-olds and 25-year-olds and 30-year-olds running around doing a great job in online businesses. And I'm 47 now. But that age doesn't matter. There's no reason people my age and even a lot older than me can do it. One of my business partners in one of my businesses is 80, and he's doing it. So I think there's a really that you don't need to worry about that. I made many mistakes. I failed many times, but it wasn't because of age or lack of the right background. It was because I made poor choices and I had a poor mindset. And those things, it's very simple, sounds very simple, and they're very fixable if you realize that that's what you need to focus on. And to be honest, if I'd invested in getting those right early, instead of being overconfident and thinking that I could easily work it all out on my own, I would have saved tons of time and money. And I'd be a lot better position than I am now. It's not that I'm in a bad position, but I would have got there a lot more quickly had I done that. So, end of the day, I've earned the hard way the experience and knowledge to recognise the path that I should be on. I have a clear plan, and I've got my mind in the right place finally, and I'm now building the right business for me. I've had to go. There's 10 separate businesses over the last 2 or 3 years that I've sort of started in or looked at pretty heavily, but it's taken until now a lot of failures and a lot of mistakes and a big learning curve for me to really find the right business for me and what makes most sense for me. But now I'm really confident that I'm on the right path because I've got the knowledge and experience to understand what the right path looks like for me, and what it's going to take for me to get where I want to go with that. And I'm not there yet, but it's only a matter of time. If I'm consistent, if I'm focused, if I'm disciplined and I put in the work, then I know that I'll get there. I just need to make sure that I'm consistent and focused and disciplined. All that said, though, the last 2 years have been the best of my working career by none. The best. Even though it's been a rocky ride at times, I would not trade that for anything. The learning curve, the experiences I've gained, what I've been able to do have been awesome. I've had more time with my family. I've had more flexibility. I took the kids to the dentist 2 days ago, which when I was working in a job, I just wouldn't have been able to. And my wife would have had to organise herself to try and get that done. I could just, go and do it. I take them to sports. I've been involved in coaching and management of their sports teams in the last year or two that would never have been possible before that. And spending more time with them generally. We've got things that we do as a family now that we could never do before when I was working a job, and those things are worth an enormous amount for me. And I'm sure for a lot of you out there who may be in a job where you've got to work a lot of hours, maybe working hard, thinking about that and going, those things would be important to you as well. And on top of that, I'm in control of my agenda. I can drive what I need to do. And I have a plan and I have a path to reach that ideal of financial freedom. But I'm in control of that. And I think I'm not running around doing things that higher ups in the organisation want me to do, or that serve agendas or purposes that either don't make sense to me, or that I don't agree with, or that I'm just not interested in. And I think that for me personally, that's a massive thing, and that's had a huge impact on not just my physical health, but also my mental and emotional health as well. The ability to be able to run with that. So I guess the bottom line for me is I have zero regrets on the decision I made a couple of years ago to not get another job, to turn down those guys and to take a different path. It hasn't been easy. It's still not easy necessarily. And I haven't reached my goals yet. But I wouldn't trade it for the world, and it's been such an awesome experience so far. And it will continue to be an awesome experience going forward, and I'm really looking forward to what the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months hold. So that's it. That's how I got here. Gives you a little bit of insight into where I've come from and how I've got to where I am. Now, next time I'm going to talk a little bit about where I'm going next, which I'm really excited about, so I can't wait to talk about that, and also what you can expect from me on this channel. So don't forget to give me a comment below or subscribe. Push the subscribe button if you want to follow along and see where I'm going and get a bit more out of it. You can also check out my Facebook group and my website. There's links for those in the notes below as well. And I'll see you next time.